Welcome to the Future of Real Estate. I'm Brett Ellis of the Ellis team at RE/MAX Realty Group. What we wanted to share with you today, we're going to call this our October foreclosure update. Now, you've probably been reading in the news that several of the large banks like JP Morgan Chase, Citi, Bank of America suspended foreclosures. Well, the reality is this. They are starting foreclosures up again the third week or so of October. At least Bank of America has publicly stated that. But we are foreclosure agents, and we handle several of the banks. And the reality is they never, at least in our cases, they never stopped. We were still doing closings, and we were still getting new orders. In fact, they were coming fast and furious. Now, there were about 90 listings in the MLS that I can track that were pulled. So, and I did hear of several cancellations. In fact, I was just over for some Fannie Mae training this past week over in Fort Lauderdale, and I spoke to one of my friends who's an agent in the Miami area, and she told me she had 20 closings that got canceled. So it is real. They did stop. They had what they call it an affidavit issue, but they're working on that. I think they've corrected that, and in fact, they're going back and refiling some of that paperwork in cases where there was judgment. But we decided to do a study, and because we had a feeling that maybe foreclosures were falling off a bit before October. And keep in mind, that's the fourth quarter fiscal year coming into. So I want to go through our study and take you through a series of data points. You kind of see what's really been going on in the Southwest Florida real estate market. And then we're going to track this going forward and see if this moratorium or this affidavit issue did in fact really change the market. So we hope not. So here's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at this. We've got some spreadsheets here for you to look at. Now, this is where we're tracking since back, we go way back in time, but this graph, we're only going to show you May of 09 through September now of 10. And you can see the foreclosures in yellow, which are right up here, and they've kind of come down. And the short sales, we saw a spike. They kind of went up. They've kind of been going up and down. Then they were going down. But look here in September. We're seeing foreclosure sales going down, and the short sales did come up a bit. In fact, in Lee County, we tracked 80 fewer foreclosure sales, but 14 higher short sales. So, and that was before the moratorium went into effect. So we're going to track this going forward to see if this suspension of the foreclosure sales is indeed going to affect. But we're already started seeing a slight trend even before that moratorium. So here's another graph we do. It's the total distress sales. Now, by distress sales, we mean foreclosure sales and short sales, any type of distress. And we've broken it out by Lee County, Lehigh Acres, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers. Now, Lee County is in black here, and they started trending down here in August and September. Okay, and Fort Myers was heading down, and Fort Myers has never been as high anyway. And this is the percentage of sales. Fort Myers is down around 52, 53%, and that includes the short sales because the foreclosure sales are only like 39% in Fort Myers. And then Lehigh, of course, leads the pack, but even that had leveled out. Then what we want to do is track just short sales. And remember when we told you short sales were coming up? Well, look at Lehigh. You saw a boost in short sales from August to September, a leveling in Fort Myers, and a leveling in Cape Coral. So the 14 higher sales must have primarily been in Lehigh because that's where our growth came from when the others were fairly level. And then here's an inventory chart. Now, remember when I told you about 90 sales came off the market just like that? I pulled these stats after that occurred. And in fact, we're starting to see inventory came down just a little bit, and the pending sales are kind of holding steady. Now, the pending sales are a pretty good indication of what's going to happen in the future. And in fact, our next graph are pending sales. Now, remember when we had big sales months earlier in the year? Well, of course, the pendings reflected that. And now the pendings have fallen off, so we can predict into the future, and that's actually what's been happening, that sales are going to be down compared to what they were a few months ago. But they ought to be pretty even. So when official numbers are reported next week, we think they're going to be pretty darn close. And what I can do is I can even take you into some of our spreadsheets and show you. But we've also done our current market index. And remember, when this started falling, we said this market's going to heat up. And that was back in 08. And what happened? Fourth quarter of 08 and all of 09, we set record sales numbers. This predicts the future. So we've kind of been bouncing around here. We've seen it trend down to 4.65. So we think the market is heating up just a little bit. And in fact, it got down to as low as 3.72 We're at 4.65 now, so it's not as hot as it's been, but it's still a little bit better than it has been. Well, last month it was at 5. A few months ago it was at 4.94. So we think that sales are going to start picking up, and the inventory is not there, so it's going to be harder to get some of these things. Now, transactions may or may not go up if the inventory is not there. It's going to be dependent on the inventory. And that's why we don't want to see this foreclosure moratorium affect things too much, because you can take inventory out of the equation and then you have no sales. And we don't want that. We don't think that'll happen, but we wouldn't be surprised if sales go down simply because of the lack of inventory. And that's pretty much our sales activity graph. I will share with you, and we don't normally share this, but here's how we track our stats. We've got a big, long spreadsheet here. I mean, it just goes out pages and pages and pages. But here's where we could track, well, I can't even get it all on one screen. But I track Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Lehigh, and the entire county, and then we put it in. I could split the screen, and you could kind of see. But basically, that's how we know exactly where the sales are coming in. Fort Myers, for instance, in September, 52% were distressed sales, and they only had 58 short sales compared to 96 foreclosure listings. So that's how we know exactly where our numbers are. But look at this. We're starting to see distressed sales in Lee County down to about 60%, and that's what some of our charts here are showing. So that is essentially our Lee County, Florida, or Southwest Florida real estate update. And we're calling this our foreclosure update. Now, a good friend of ours, Jeff Tombrello, over at the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investors Association, he was tracking foreclosure list pendants filings with the county as down even before the moratorium. It dipped for a couple days, but we're still seeing filings, and we wouldn't be surprised to see that heat back up again. And just as I said, we're a foreclosure agent for Fannie Mae and for a couple of the large banks. Well, we got piled on. When they said there was a moratorium, our orders increased. So we know we've got more properties to bring to the market. And there's some higher price, some nice stuff. I mean, we'll have one probably, believe it or not, it's a foreclosure coming up, maybe 1.8 million or so. We've got some in the 500, 600,000 range, direct access, waterfront, right off the river, gorgeous home. We've got all different kind of stuff coming out. So if you're in the market to buy something, chances are we may have it already in the pre-listed inventory. We know it's coming out. Or, other agents are also bringing properties to the market. So now's a good time to kind of look. We've got interest rates now down around 4%, which is incredible. But our biggest concern is our inventory may drop, and it may be harder to find and harder to get in on some of these deals. So if you're looking to buy, you really need to deal with an agent who has written a lot of contracts, right, clear and concise, and knows what the bank's looking for. We've written some blog articles on this, and we've also done some videos, which you can go back and read, on how to actually buy a bank foreclosure or how to buy a short sale and what to know, what to expect. Because these are all things, if you structure your offer the right way and you have the right expectations, you have a greater chance of getting these properties. And there's certain things you must do. For instance, each bank may require you have a pre-approval from that bank. So you want to follow or make sure your agent follows all those directions explicitly, because if they're there, they mean something. If you fail one of those steps, your offer may not even get presented. And when offers come in, if your agent's going to take the time to show you the property, write up the offer, you at least want your offer to get presented. And we put an attachment in our MLS. Here's all the things we need. Now, we've got a property right now that's kind of hot, but it's amazing how many agents don't fill out that attachment, or they don't provide the necessary paperwork, or proof of funds is not there, or it's insufficient, or it doesn't match the buyer, or it's over a year old. All these things I need, certain things I need, and I can't present the offers without it. And they probably think, well, we're just lazy. We're not. No, we're busy, and we're putting it out there what we need. We just need buyers and agents to give us what we need, or if we're writing it up, we'll be sure to do that, so that it gives you the greatest possible chance of getting these properties, because we do have some fantastic bargains in Southwest Florida. By the way, I don't know if you notice, but sometimes we take this for granted, but in Southwest Florida, it's a bright, sunny day. Oil never came here. Our beaches are fantastic. I was just down at the beach the other day. We have a beach home that we're listing, waterfront home. So it's kind of a pleasure for me to go down there and check on that property. But we've got blue skies, probably 85 degrees, low humidity, and it's just a great day in paradise down here in Southwest Florida. So we encourage you, if you're thinking about buying property in Southwest Florida, come on down. We got nice people, great weather, and fantastic real estate buys. And that is your Southwest Florida real estate market update presented by the Ellis team at RE/MAX. Our phone number is 239-489-4042. Our 800 number is 1-800-860-4042. And our website is topagent.com. At topagent.com, you can take virtual tours of all our properties. You can search the entire MLS. You can search just the Ellis team listings. You can search, like I said, the entire MLS listings. A lot of stuff you can do. One website to remember for Southwest Florida real estate. It's topagent.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.